Series.
So you're going to run the rest of the Winston Cup races this year?
Run all the rest of the Winston Cup races this year. And Ned, I'm looking forward to next week. I'm going to do double duty. I'm going to run the Pepsi 400 and also Milwaukee.
Wow.
Here's Dick Berggren.
Well, I'm on pit road with Donna Little. And you sure have your hands full. She's got 3 stopwatches going here. She's also got a 35mm camera and a big pad full of notes. What's your job on pit road?
My job is to let these guys down here know how either far away we are from second place or how far we need to get up to first place. And as you can see, it's real exciting, and I've chewed every one of my fingernails off, so I'm going to keep them hid and my fingers crossed today.
How good's he doing today? Is he doing all right?
So far, we're having a really, really good day. If we can just keep those bugs off the screen, it will be fine, I think.
Caution's out. Got a caution on the racetrack
somewhere. I don't know where.
Note to Chad Little.
Turn 11.
The spotters, turn 11. That's turn 6 by our count.
Yeah, there's debris on the racetrack. It looks like a drive shaft or something laying there. Like an exhaust pipe, isn't it?
Those are a complete set of exhaust pipes. Somebody's running around it right now with just the headers on their car.
How much is that going to cost you?
Now, before you answer that question, we'll see if Jason Keller can race them back and get back in the lead lap. Oh, he came into the pit, so he won't be able to do that. Tough break, he might have been able to get back in the lead lap, but now he won't.
Full course caution.
Ooh, that could...
David Green hit it. Hit it with his right side.
All of them. I'm going to tell you what.
Johnny Benson hit it.
This is detrimental. This could be hurting the underneath of their cars.
Somebody else did
Boy,
that.
you
Tommy
think
Houston
the
hit it.
spotters would be up there, and that's such a critical corner. That's that last corner before you come down the straightaway.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, if they have a spotter here, who was it told us they had, Clyde McLeod, I believe, said they had a spotter here on the roof somewhere here where you could see turn.
I've always heard that was the corner. Kenny keeps referring to that first turn is so critical. I've always thought that last turn was so critical because you could get set up. You get this long straightaway, and you can get set up to go into number 1. And that really is a tricky part of this course. And so many times, it's that last corner where they decide Grand National stock car races. Will be our second, and it's November 5, and I haven't heard anybody say anything, but this is going to be someplace. Kenny, you going to be there?
I'm going to be there, and the Grand National Division, this is a major impact on this sport, CBS coverage.
20,000 new seats are being added right now down there at Miami because it's going so well. Here's Mike Joy.
Well, Tommy Houston's crew was a little short-handed, so as he was coming in, Scott Houston, his son, handed me the signboard for Tommy. They're going to check to make sure no damage was done when he ran over that piece of exhaust pipe. And just as a precaution, change all 4 tires. All 4 are up, and they look okay. Jim Bound is also in again, trying to research that handling problem and get it fixed. Most of the leaders stayed out. Dick Berggren.
Jason Keller is behind the wall. It looks like engine problems. What's wrong?
Well, yeah, you know, I got in a little wreck of the first lap, or first of the race there, and I don't know what the other driver's trying to do in there. We got our lap back there. I'm just trying to stay in front a little, and something happened to the motor. I don't know what it was. You know, this budget's going to make crew. They've been flawless all year long, and we knew we were going to have some bad luck, but we hate to have some bad luck like this, but we'll be back.
And John Benson, who ran into the header, did so because no spotter was able to see that header. He's only got 2 of them. Here's an interesting approach. Jeff Green has got a spotter in the S's, and he is watching the CBS broadcast, and that is how he's spotting the race for Green.
And both David Green, not Jeff, but David Green and Johnny Benson did hit that exhaust pipe. Of course, they chose to stay out there, and feeling that, hoping at least that they did not do the damage.
Ned, can you believe that, Mike Joy? Moonlighting right here on CBS.
Well, you know, you got to do what you got to do.
Working for Tommy Houston.
Well, I was just standing here ready to ask Scott a question, and all of a sudden I got a signpost in my hand. You really don't have a full crew up here?
No, a lot of the Red Devil Enamel team have jobs that they work on during the week.
Yeah, I know, they're home painting.
Yeah, well, not exactly, but a lot of the races we go to, they have to ask off for work for if it's a long ways off. So this was one of the races to where we just had to pick up 2 or 3 guys along the way, and I'm just glad you were standing here, Mike.
Well, thank you, Scott. Folks, I think I finally found my calling. If the broadcast business ever ends, I'll come see you.
Hey, ask Scott how well you did. We want a review.
Well, how'd we do?
I didn't get an official time on it, but I think we did pretty good. I didn't lose a lap. We got 4 tires on it, so...
Then I shouldn't quit my day job.
Definitely not.
Yeah. You're talking about spotters up there, guys. Now, some of the folks, I won a race here because I was scanning in one ear the officials and in one ear my crew, and they said, well, we're going to red flag this. Throw the checker next time by. I said, time to go. So if you monitor those officials that sit around the racetrack and work in the corners, most of them are volunteers, you learn an awful lot. And I guess if you can sit out there in the stands and watch CBS, you can learn even more.
And yes, fans, Mike Joy does drive in races on the road, has driven often here at Watkins Glen and a lot of the other road
Lime Rock?
courses.
Yeah, down there a lot. And you learned how he cheated that victory right there.
I thought he just ran away from
They're
the
going to
field.
scramble those scanners. Gosh, I hope they don't. So we're ready on a restart. We're getting down to it with 30 laps complete of the 82 to be run. When you get to 30 laps, you're looking at 73 miles that have been finished. You see Chad Little lining up first, Terry Labonte second, Leitzinger third, number 95, then McLaughlin, Jeff Green, David Green running 5th and 6th, Johnny Benson in 7th, Larry Pearson 8th, Phil Parsons 9th, Jimmy Spencer in 10th, spin it all. Then 11th is Grissom, 12th, Combs, 13th, Sadler. On the restart, Tracy Leslie 14th and Curtis Markham 15th. There's Leitzinger peeling off on the inside. McLaughlin right along with him. Leitzinger on the move.
Yeah, McLaughlin got him beside him and going down the front straightaway there, but he couldn't quite pull it off. He's on the outside, and as Kenny says, that's not the place you want to be when you go into turn 1.
I notice on every one of his restarts, the front two cars of Chad Little and Terry Labonte seem to pull away extremely. They must either are anticipating the green very good, or they must have an excellent gearbox. And what I mean by transmission ratios to get them up to speed quickly.
Yeah, see, they've checked out by, what, 10 car lengths here, and they haven't gone half a lap.
Right. The cat car of Butch Leitzinger always ends up about that far behind him on a restart.
But he seems to be closing a little bit right now since he ran side by side into turn 1.
That downhill right there, excuse me, that has got to be a thrill in there, Kenny, when you're going, huh?
Believe it or not, there's a lot of G-forces in that corner. That corner looks flat on TV, but the right side of the car, really, when you get close to that curving, adds a lot of G-forces. You really stick good in that corner.
Does it push you to the side or push you straight down?
Pushes you to the left, which is backwards of what we're used to. So it's a little goofy feeling to a normal oval track racer.
Always surprised me, Ned, that you guys talked about how it pushed you straight down at a place like Daytona rather than it pushed you to the side. You'd think it would be pushing you out. Instead, it's a weight right on the top of your head and your shoulders.
Yes, and it's much greater now, of course, than it was when I drove race cars because of the higher speeds and the more aerodynamic cars and all of those things are a lot more downforce. Chad Little, the first Grand National race he ever ran in was here at Watkins Glen back in 1992. Sort of struggled to finish 29.
At 29.
Yeah. Doing quite well here today. He's a quick
Look
learner.
at Benson and David Green. That's the 72 car coming at you, red and yellow, and right behind it, that's the defending national champion driving with a broken shoulder.
And there's Phil Parsons in the car number 99. Phil wiped out his primary car here on Friday and qualifying. He was the second round fastest qualifier then yesterday, started in 26th position.
And Jimmy Spencer in the 20, the Fina car, right behind them. Here's Dick Berggren.
The Patty Louise, it was an awfully hard hit. What happened out there?
It's been sort of a hell weekend here. That time we either had something else break on the car from the problem that I had with the 55 car on the first lap, or we had a tire go down when I went up to the S's. You're pretty much hard in the throttle there, and the car never turned, so it just went straight on into the guardrail.
I'm not going to ask if she's okay because I think she is. The first question to me was, does my hair look all right for CBS?
That's kind of funny, but these Grand National drivers, guys, are real excited about this coverage on CBS.
Well, it's a great division, and every bit of recognition possible is due to it. Talked about it as a support division for years, and that just is not the case. They race well. We've seen them in 5 or 6 events this year, and they put on a great show. And I think part of it is there's such a thrash among these guys. My feeling still is in Winston Cup. A lot of guys are making a lot of money. Here, you've got to be just as good as you can be every lap because you know everybody's watching, and this is where you're going to make it or break it. If you don't make it here, and a lot of guys are making the mistake of coming in from other areas of racing and trying to go right to Winston Cup, and they're losing their rides. You really need to run Grand National if you're going to succeed.
In my opinion, this is the greatest stepping stone in motorsports. If you're going to race stock cars, you need to run in this division get good at it so that you can move on up into Winston Cup racing. And not only getting that experience yourself, but you're getting experience on many of the same racetracks that you'll run on, as well as in similar type cars and against many of the same drivers that you'll race on later.
And I like the ratio. You still have more short tracks than you do super speedways, but you get those supers, as you say, Ned. You know, you get to Daytona, you get to Charlotte, you get to Talladega, you go to Michigan, but you run a lot of short track, which most of these guys are familiar with, and then they get this opportunity to show their stuff and really strut up here at this very famous road course, and they're driving it well.
The Grand National division is very, very comparable to AAA ball. They call the show in the big leagues baseball. Well, Winston Cup racing is the show, but this series right here has become so popular just because of all the coverage and the great drivers coming through it right now that, look at this sponsor here, Lipton Tea. That's a major, major corporation, and it's just a great division.
As we watch Johnny Benson, the series leader, won the ASA championship as an independent, did it all himself. His dad was a great racer. Take a look at the footwork here.
We'll go into the sweeper, car off the track to the left. He's moving. He's off the track to the left. He's on his way. The track is clear.
That says it all, guys. It's very interesting. Johnny Benson using very little amount of heel and toe there. What I mean is he was basically just using all the transmission, very little clutch. And in the same time, did you hear a spotter in his ear? That's everything a driver's trying to think of. Just like Ned said at the top of the show, total focus, trying to figure out when to put on the brakes. The spotter in his ear saying there's a yellow here. Here he goes again. He's going through the inner loop. He's on the gas, a little bit of brake.
A lot of things to think about.
He's controlling. He's braking throttle, braking throttle. He's coming out of the turn 5. Shifting gears. Grab third gear there. Should be grabbing second right there.
Bill Parsons looking on the inside as if he wanted to make a pass.
That is a heck of a battle that you're watching right now as 74 Benson stays in 6th. Parsons, the Luxair car, number 99, right there in 7th, and David Green in 8th. And Jimmy Spencer's in that thing, too, the Pina car, number 20, moving in. And here comes Parsons making his bid. Now, this is a backup car, Ned.
It is. Very impressive that he had to take a backup car and has that car out here. He started in 26th position and now has moved into 6th position.
For the moment, Chad Little, Spokane, Washington, in front. And Corpus Christi, Texas, Terry Labonte stays second with Leitzinger from Pennsylvania third. 95.5 miles, 39 laps will be completed this time by at the Watkins Glen 200. 200 miles, 82 laps the distance. NASCAR Grand National Racing live on CBS this afternoon. It's a humdinger. As you watch car number 56, Johnny Rumley. A short time ago, he had his hands full.
Yes, he did. Got off the course, spinning around. That's in turn 5, just after he came out of the inner loop. Spins around on the grass and right into the tires a little bit. Does some damage on the left front there, but he was able to drive away.
Well, that'll let him keep going.
He's had a difficult week this year, or this week he's had a difficult week, but he'll come back next year and be more experienced.
You like him?
I think he's a great race car driver. As Ned knows, he's around the Hickory, the Carolina area, Hickory, North Carolina. He's won a lot of late model stock car races. He's a very good driver.
Take a look at this battle that continues for first place. Chad Little, number 2 in the points for the Grand National ranks, and Terry Labonte, who runs a lot of these races, was up in the top 10 through the first third of the season, staying right here in second. And this is not his regular domain.
But I think he's content. I think he's content sitting there. They're pulling away a little bit from Leitzinger, who is running in 3rd place. And, you know, there's no pressure behind, so I said, okay, I'll just sit here and not abuse the car too much. And, Kenny, you did a little bit of research in the garage area this morning and learned that there's quite a distinct difference between these cars that are running up front here.
Yeah, Ned, I did. What I learned was that just because somebody else has something and they're the fastest doesn't mean you need it. For example, the car number 23 right here is running what we call an overdrive transmission. Okay, the car behind him, the 14 car, Terry Labonte, is not running an overdrive, and he's also running a rear sway bar. What I mean by that, okay, the car in front, he can run in third gear a lot longer than Terry Labonte can. Terry Labonte has to use second gear a lot more. So a lot more shifting for Terry Labonte, a lot less shifting for car 23 in front. Now when I talk about a row bar, Terry Labonte has got a rear anti-row bar, which makes the car sway from side to side less, keeps the car very stable. Then you go all the way back to the third position, and he's got a complete different car, a 3-link. So just because somebody's got one thing doesn't mean everybody else has to have it.
There's that Lightsinger car, Buzz McCall's number 95 coming at you. That's the car, that 3-point system.
Right, very different. A 3-link in the rear end, which a lot of people are trying and running only on road courses. Nobody seems to like it on the oval tracks. It did work for me last year. I won all 3 of my Grand National races with that rear end. But the unique thing about this CAT car is the front end. It's like nobody else's. That's one thing I did find out earlier today.
And that is what makes that different?
What that makes is just different front end geometry. You know, if you go to baseball, if you will, a lighter bat or a heavier bat, well, this guy's got a different front end that he likes.
Here comes David Green in for an unscheduled pit stop. He was running
7th when he had
position.
trouble, and he's going right back behind the wall. Now remember, he came into the broken shoulder, and Bobby Labonte, the car owner, you saw, we're coming to halfway, was standing by to take over, but this sounds like a car, or seems like a car situation here.
Well, this is the first DNF did not finish for David Green this year. Won the championship last year, and just, boy, he's having such a tough year.
You know, a lot of different things going on this year. David Green could do no wrong last year, never broke. You remind Johnny Benson cannot break this year. Well, it's just a turnaround year. David Green is having the worst luck. Had a good run going for him.
Well, of course, but Kenny, he got busted good down there in Charlotte. They got him up in the air and spun him.
And can he come back from that? His equipment's been failing him. He's been running in the top 10 every week, and he's been having a lot of motor problems.
I'll tell you who else is having trouble. Doug Hepburn. Now, there's a star-cross guy. I mean, he had that race won the other day up at Dover. That was his. What, 18 to go? And now he's pulled out. Doug Hepburn has gone back behind the wall. That's too bad.
And this is the 4th race in a row that he has fallen out of, had problems. And he has run good. That's encouraging to him and his team, but they would like to be running good at the end of the race.
If you're just joining us, we're at Watkins Glen, New York. We're just past halfway in the Watkins Glen 200. For NASCAR's Grand National Division, and they sure look grand out here in their 400th performance. We've had 3 cautions for 7 laps, 3 lead changes between 2 drivers. It's all Chad Little and Terry Labonte running nose to tail, but 23 cars are in the lead lap. Now, let's go to Dick Berggren.
Well, you talk about Hevron's bad luck. He's had just an absolutely awful week here. He began the week with a hood flying up on the car. They changed that, then they lost an engine, put another engine in it. Then the rear end was so messed up they couldn't get the gears in it properly. And yesterday afternoon, Hevron was in the car working on the dashboard. The gauges weren't properly working. And this morning, they had to change the exhaust system. They had a leak there. I think they changed everything in that car several times.
I just noticed something. Ricky Craven, as you watch this, the Terry Labonte picture right here, Ricky Craven is on the move behind these cars. They're going into the inner loop right now, and Terry Labonte trying to gain on Chad Little as they exit the inner loop and head for turn 5.
Yeah,
Craven. That's the 10th.
Yeah, he's coming again.
This is turn 5. It's a long corner. You're feeding a lot of gas, and you're trying not to get out into that grass right there. You're being real careful. Going down here in 3rd gear, running down here and over this bridge, right there's the bridge, and you're grabbing 2nd gear right here, and there's the man on the move right now, Ricky Craven.
10th place for Craven. Keeps on coming.
Steve Grissom right in front of him is running in 9th, so you've got another group of cars in 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th.
Yeah, Spencer just in front of Grissom in 8th, and Johnny Benson up there in 7th. So this is some good racing further back in the field. 2-time Busch Northern champion Ricky Craven has moved up. Let's go to Mike Joy.
One champion here has had a tough day, Ken. David Green, what happened?
Something in the motor, Mike. Same old thing. Not the same thing, but just we can't finish. And dadgone, my guys work 110% to get ready each week, and we
Car car 80 is spun, gets himself back underway. Ashton Lewis. Let's go back to Mike Joy. Was 14th as he went off. Let's see if we can get a word from Mike again with the defending national champion.
Thank you, Ken. David, all this shifting, does that take a toll on the motor?
Well, it does if you miss a gear, but thank goodness I was able to hit all my gears today with my bum arm. But, you know, the same old thing. The guys give me a great car each week. We qualify good, but when it gets down to endurance time, something breaks. And I want to say hi, or happy birthday to Mom there, and her birthday today. And hopefully Jeff will do pretty good, but short day for the Slim Jim team.
Okay, Jeff is his younger brother, and Ken, the heat and humidity is taking its toll. You have all these inlets to get air into the car, but they feed coolers, not the driver. Elton Sawyer says there's a lot of heat coming up through the floor, and, quote, he's got blisters on his butt. He may get relief. Randy McDonald on his last pit stop was as red as a lobster, cooked. He will get relief from Dirk Stevens shortly.
Thanks, Mike.
You know, earlier when we were watching Ricky Craven, I noticed him going through the straightaway with his hand out the window. I think it's very, very hot out there today for the people sitting at home in their cool couches right now. I noticed Ricky Craven grabbing his hand out the left side, trying to get some air to blow in the car there.
Well, you not only, in this type of racing, we see the 76 car
That's
in
Bowles.
the pit area. That's Tom Bowles. But you not only get heat from the engine that you normally get on an oval track, but also you have to run transmission coolers here and rear end coolers. You get a lot of heat from transmission and rear ends here. In addition,
77's off. Victor Sifton. Sorry, Ned.
messing up a lot of the pretty grass here.
Anyway, continue. That was interesting.
Well, I was just saying the different points that you have of getting heat here that you wouldn't have on an oval track. And so I guess it is hot in there. Let's go back to the pits and Mike.
Well, you see the 38 car in primer going out of the pits because Elton Sawyer has just climbed out of it. The man who got in to that number 38 car is a fellow who next week will be without a ride, Dennis Setzer. His team will fold up after the Milwaukee race next week. Elton has his back is very, very red. He's being attended to by the medical personnel right now. We'll get a word with him in a minute.
That's a bad break, that Alliance group falling out. They've made such a stout effort. He's been up in the top 10. Dennis Setzer is a fine racer. I thought that was going to all come together for him, and we'd see him moving along through that division.
I want to touch on what Ned was saying, you know, how hot these cars are getting. Now, I had this problem early in the year. Although I won the race at Richmond, I told Jim Murray, my crew chief, I said, you burnt my feet off. Well, we come to find out this new motor combination, 9-to-1 compression, holds so much exhaust heat, just like Ned was saying. So now, these drivers are thinking, what's wrong with me? I'm not in shape. There's nothing wrong with them. They're in shape. It's just that these new motors are creating so much temperature now. They're getting twice as hot as they used to.
Yellow is out. Sorry, we have a caution coming out around the racetrack. This would be the fourth caution of the day. There are the two leaders, Chad Little and Terry Labonte. This caution is coming in lap 46. No report as yet as Chad waves down Terry Labonte under yellow. And it's the 77 that's done it again. Victor Sifton, Canadian driver, having trouble here at the Glen. 22 cars remain in the lead lap. Heat becoming a real issue with these Grand National drivers with this 9-to-1 compression engine. We'll be getting back on that story shortly here.
Ricky Craven blistered his feet, burned them badly in the Busch race at Dover.
That's right. It's getting tough.
I'd like to talk to you more about that in a moment. CBS Sports coverage of the Watkins Glen 200 continues after this message and a word from your local station.
Now's the best time to get
under caution. The Watkins Glen 200, NASCAR's Grand National, in his 400th performance over 400 years. And we've got a ding-dong battle up in front that has Chad Little and Terry Labonte running each other hard with 22 cars in the lead lap after half distance. 3 lead changes among 2 drivers, 4 cautions for 7 laps. Ned Jarrett?
And I think we'll see them make pit stops here, Ken. It's been about 23 or so laps. These cautions that comes in the area of when they would normally make pit stops are not very timely for us because I don't think they can go the rest of the way, but here they come. All of them coming down pit road right now, and we'll go to the pits and Mike Joy.
Well, Chad Little feinted toward pit road. Looked like he was going to stay up, and he turned in, and everybody came with him. Terry Labonte takes a drink, pours some down the front of that helmet, and this will be their last 4 tire change. But will Labonte take 4? Yes, they're going all the way around for 4 tires for Terry Labonte, defending champ. Mike Berggren.
Chad Little also pitted, and for a while they said they weren't going to pit at all. They wanted to save their last set of good tires for the end of the race. They're only on lap 47. This is an 82-lap event. Where they got lucky is when they turned down pit road, everybody followed them. Had that not happened, they would have run out of tires toward the end of the race. Little's car was having problems negotiating the right-hand turns. That's most of them. Terry Labonte has beaten out of the pits, and so has Steve Grissom. Little returns to the race in third spot.
Boy, Grissom had a great pit stop. He was running in the 8th position. And whether he took on 4 tires or maybe just 2.
That was a great pit stop, Ned. I believe maybe his Winston Cup crew is up here, the Diamond Ridge team, which the Meineke is the sponsor in the Winston Cup effort. I believe they might have brought their Cup crew up here.
Mike Joy.
You see Elton Sawyer getting a bit of oxygen and, of course, the obligatory sponsors cap. He's burned on his back and on his backside, so they're going to take him for a bit of attention. Randy McDonald also climbed out of his car, as Sawyer did, without assistance, but is going to go to track medical. The humidity here is just about up into the 90s, the same as the heat. And that, plus the lack of air circulating in the cockpit and those thick fire suits, is taking its toll.
Elton Sawyer, who drove that Ford Motor Credit, the Ford Credit car, red carpet leasing car, in trouble there. How hot is it in those cars these days, Kenny?
It is unbelievably hot. We have a new rule, not here at this track, but we have a right side window in on the tracks over 1 mile now, which makes it even hotter.
So how hot is hot?
Oh, we're talking probably 130 degrees in there. And let me say something about Elton Sawyer here, okay? He's driving his backup car, so that means his crew worked feverishly for 2 days just to get the car to where it could go on the racetrack. You know, I'm sure they had cooling in there, but that was not priority. So he went in there, started this race in a backup car, may not have the proper ventilation hoses to him.
And why for folks that might be viewing for the first time, we don't see heat bother when you go to Talladega. We don't see it at Daytona. When you go down there to run on the next Saturday in that 400-mile race, Kenny, you'll be down there, and the heat is so incredible in Florida. So people say, well, why here at Watkins Glen? You know, you're up in the country.
Well, the outside temperature may not be that different. Of course, as Mike Joy said, the temperature may be up close to 90 and the humidity up there also. But they don't pay as much attention to that on these type of racetracks, plus the fact that you're having to work so hard in there inside the race car. And as we said earlier, all the different areas the heat builds up on a road course, transmission, rear end, and brakes, and all of those kind of things.
Right, exactly. You know, it's a deal right here where you got 7 corners to negotiate. You're working real hard, just building intense heat in your body.
Now, you said you burned your feet, you blistered your feet. I can remember Darrell Waltrip burning his heel. He charred the bone. I mean,
exactly.
When you talk about burning your feet, tell folks at home what you're talking about.
Well, you got to remember, you're in a competitive sport here. You don't want to radio to your crew and say, boy, guys, my feet's hot. I'm leading this race. I want to come in. You just literally sit there and you put it out of your mind and let your feet melt off. I mean, third degree burn. It's terrible. And we go green here. Or we're getting ready to.
Yep, they're coming off turn 7. Terry Labonte leads them down. Steve Grissom now in second place. Here Chad Little trying to make a move on him quickly going into turn 1. And we understand that Grissom did take 4 times, so he had a tremendous pit stop, but Chad Little gets by as Grissom slides a little bit high in turn 1. So we're back to that twosome we've had up front all day, and that is Terry Labonte and Chad Little. This time it's Labonte out front.
Grissom third, McLaughlin right there with him in 4th, Jeff Green 5th, Leitzinger to 6th, and Craven in the number 2 car up to 7th.
Leitzinger's the one that lost on that pit stop. He was running in 3rd place, and he's back to the 5th position now.
There you see Jeff Green, youngest of those Green boys from Owensboro, Kentucky, giving it his all. Right behind this number 3. There's Leitzinger, and with him comes Ricky Craven at 7th.
Craven has done a great job fighting back through the pack, had to make a pit stop early, and gave up a lot of track positions.
McLaughlin trying to sweep under Grissom there. He is really after him, and here comes Leitzinger making a move on Green. I think he got it. Leitzinger down the inside. He comes up.
That was a veteran. Oh, we got a crash atop of your screen.
Right there coming out of that final turn. Got one car that spun around hard. Tommy Houston.
Oh, boy, he has hit something hard with the front end of his car. And the back end.
Trying to roll it away.
Oh, that's too bad.
It's hard to believe that car's still rolling.
Tommy'd been running in the top 10, or running 11th when this happened.
Looked like a perfect racer 1 lap ago, and that's all that's left to Tommy Houston's hopes here today.
Well, it's hard to comment on that.
Take a look at the top of your screen here, Kenny. I think we can show it to you.
He's in trouble already.
Bang. Back end, front end.
Okay, what I think might have happened there be that I have some experience on this track. He was getting ready to arc into that corner. It's real critical. If he would have got his left side tire, that tire you're looking at in the rear, if he'd have got that a little bit in the grass, around comes the car. Now, we'll have to hear what Tommy says. He's an awful great veteran, so I'm sure what happened, it was not his fault.
Mike?
Well, have a look at the front end of this, Ken. It has really taken, the guardrail has taken to it. Scott Houston is talking to his dad, who sits in the car. They're going to back it up all the way to the garage. Apparently, too much sheet metal and steering damage to repair here on pit road.
Take a look at how they're running after 49 of 82 laps.
That's Bobby Dragon.
Bobby Dragon having a problem.
Well, that's dangerous right there, backing right up into the group. Oh, we got another.
Others. Yeah, there's McDonald there.
We've got
and
a big
the 86 is also involved. Flip Groggins, the sports car driver, is in that 3-car shuffle. McDonald still parked the 01. Remember, we heard that he was having trouble with heat earlier. Canadian driver out of Oshawa, Ontario. Saw him up on the American-Canadian Tour for 2 or 3 years.
Full course caution coming out.
There you see the turn where it is, where he is in trouble. That last turn before you start down here by the pit area, and it's full course for the 5th time today.
You wonder if there might have been some oil or something dumped up there. That's where Tommy Houston hit.
Yeah, as we were commenting, Ned, you know, Tommy's a veteran, and his car just come on around. He might have, well, let's look. Okay, we got another car here. Definitely something happened in that corner.
Ashton Lewis, isn't it? Or Tommy Bowles.
Yeah, about 3 to 4 cars crashed in the same corner. And as you're looking at the 76 car of Tom Bowles right now, there is a full course caution out. So everybody gathers back up, and we'll try to figure out what happened in that corner.
Okay, we'll take a look here as they come in. They're pretty bunched up coming in there. He might get a little tap from the back. The 86 car.
Yeah.
Looks like 10 feet away there in the car number 55. And then here comes Dragon. Got his wheels out in the grass. And the McDonald car down on the inside, he got his wheels down on the inside grass, and around it went.
Well, Ned, I don't think nothing's wrong with that corner.
No, it just wasn't wide enough for all those cars.
It was not wide enough for all those cars. And here's looks like the tread off of one of the tires.
Yep.
Under caution once again at Watkins Glen, New York. 51 of 82 laps have been completed. Well, the pace cars picked almost everybody up that's out there. We've had a driver change on 01. Randy McDonald was taken out of his car with heat frustration, and coming into it is a driver from out in the far west that we've seen in this division throughout the season, Dirk Stevens, getting a chance to take that 01 out. That is now Dirk Stevens in the 01.
Again, we've seen several cars coming down pit road. I wondered if the leaders might come down. They're getting close to being able to make it on fuel from here on, but apparently those that are running up front figured they couldn't. But Tracy Leslie is in. We saw Curtis Markham coming down pit road. There's Tim Fido. Of course, Tim is at least a lap down. But what about it, Mike Joy? Could they have made it, or can
We'll see, Ned. Here's Flip Groggins in for a check and a wipe of the windshield. He's the SCCA GT1 national champ and has a lot of oil on that windshield, so somebody's dumping oil out there. But to ask your question, let's ask the crew chief of the leader, Bob Labonte. 31 laps to go. Can you make it, or will you have to stop again?
Well, it's going to be close. It'll be close on fuel, but we're like everybody else, you know.
You're going to try it.
Well, no more horsepower than we got, we ought to be able to do it, put it that way. If you don't have a lot of horsepower, there ain't much speed going on, I guess.
I think the telling thing, guys, was the pause between well and the answer. It was a short pause, so I think they're going to make it.
Well, that's going a long way. I was wondering if they could have even made it if they'd come in now. That's what I was wondering about. in my mind, I didn't think it was possible for them to go from the last time they made a pit stop, but I thought, well, if they come in now, maybe they could. I don't know. It'll be interesting.
When they come by, they'll have completed 53 laps. That would give them 73.5 miles to go, Ned.
Oh, is that all?
Yeah.
Okay, they
Here's
might
Dick
make
Berggren.
that.
When Chad Little put fuel in his car last, it was lap 47. That meant he had 35 laps to go. That is barely inside the window. I did a little cruise at the garage today, and I asked how far people thought they could go. The longest anybody thought he could go was 38 laps. Several people said around 30 laps, and Tim Fedowa's crew came in specifically because they did not think they had enough fuel to make it. This could become a cliffhanger on fuel.
Yeah, I think it'll get interesting down towards the end. Of course, the more laps they run under caution, the more it'll help them because they aren't burning nearly as much fuel now.
And the situation we got right here is you look at the cat car, Butch Leitzinger, you know, he may be close on fuel, but he's not going to come in and be the only one to come in and then start 21st, 22nd. So track position plays in your mind. Should I come in for fuel or not? Come in to be safe? Well, you may be sorry later on, but you're going to be with the field. You're going to go with the majority.
Here's Mike Joy. Okay, we'll get to Mike in just a moment. 21 cars in the lead laps. Let's take a look at our race schedule upcoming. Next week, Super Trucks in Milwaukee. That's Saturday at 2, and that's also where the Grand National will be. They're coming up in Milwaukee to race for you folks out there. We'll see them with the Super Trucks first next Saturday and then in Colorado. And, of course, coming up Sunday, July the 23rd, the Die Hard 500 at Talladega. Are you ready for that, Wallace?
I'm ready. It's going to be hot, and we'll just have to get tough.
And, of course, the grand finale. Sunday, November the 5th, the Jiffy Lube Miami 300 on the brand new Homestead Motorsports Complex in Miami, Florida.
And let me tell you, the people down in Homestead, Florida are really laying out the red carpet. They're sending our packages. Here we go, getting ready to go green flag.
Terry Labonte leads them off down into turn 1. Got himself a good jump again, Kenny, as he went into that turn.
Chad Little right there with him. McLaughlin in third. Grissom being challenged by Leitzinger. Goes back in at fifth. And there comes Ricky Craven in the 2 right with him. Those top 7 all in there together. Jeff Green back at 8th is Spencer. 9th is Pearson. 10th is Bill Parsons. Running 11th is Hermie Sadler. 12th is Benson. 13th Combs. 14th Bobby Donner as they come up through the S's. 15th is Fuller. 16th is Kevin LePage. 17th Rick Nye. 18th is Bobby Dragon. 19th Ashton Lewis. Curtis Markham. 20th Tracy Leslie rounds out the 21st position. Those are all in a lead lap.
And Markham and Leslie both made pit stops. They were running up in the top 10, or at least Markham was, and Leslie was running about 12th. And so they chose to make pit stops for fuel.
Out the back of Terry Labonte's car number 14. That's his advantage over second place, Chad Little.
Boy, Chad really got a good bite off there and caught him pretty quick now.
Got a good one up there. And here's some trouble.
One just up in the grass and down again.
Was that
Jimmy Spencer?
Yeah,
Jimmy
car
Spencer.
number 20.
95 is off. Leitzinger.
Whoa, no full force caution yet, please.
Running in 6th when he slid off the track.
Something big happened in that corner because that was a front runner right there. He was running in the 4th position.
Yeah, there were a lot of cars that were bunched up together.
Terry Labonte maintaining about a 10-car length advantage here. Chad Little trying to chase him down.
When it happened up front because there was a major, major gap from Steve Grissom on back now.
Yeah, Leitzinger was running up in 5th position.
Right, as you see the channel lock, here we go.
4th.
Oh, Ricky Craven got into it.
I think Craven got a piece of Leitzinger.
And just kept on going. What a job of driving there.
And Spencer, I guess, had to hit the brakes and maybe locked it down, got out in the grass, but he's...
and Jeff Green came right through the eye of the needle on that one.
Yes.
That's what they call the inner loop here. Just before you hit turn 5, curtail some of that dramatic speed they've been collecting in back straightaway over the years. Now here's Leitzinger back underway. Still in the lead lap, but well down.
Yeah, he lost a lot of positions.
I'm going to tell you what, that was pretty amazing. For all that bunch of spin out, look, they're only a straightaway behind. As you're looking at the back of Terry Labonte's and out the front now of Chad Little's car going up through these S's, this is a very fast and the fastest portion of the course. It grabs fourth gear right here. And let me tell you what, right now you're running about 165 miles an hour or faster.
And he starts to slow down and gear down, heads into the interlude.
He went from fourth, third to second is what it sounded to me like, or he went from third to second. This car does have an overdrive.
Well, he's really punching that forward. Here he comes up to the next to last corner. Hard left-hander here. Just in front of him, the leader, Terry Labonte. Now the right. You saw Tommy Houston go in head-on and tear his car to pieces.
Here they come to the start-finish line.
Right beneath us.
That's the corner I think Terry Labonte is so good at, turn one. The reason I say that is because last year I ran with him as hard as I could, and that's where he got me. I could stay with him everywhere else in the course, but Terry Labonte can get through one and send that car through the S's a tremendous amount of speed.
What's the secret?
I think not overdriving the corner. As I was watching that camera right there out of the back of Terry Labonte's car, it seemed like Chad Little came in the corner a little bit harder. Although he got through the corner fine, it just seemed like Terry Labonte did not overly aggressive, get into that corner and was able to roll through and get on the gas earlier.
Dick Berggren.
Well, Ricky Craven definitely got off course a while back, Ken, and he has got a front end that is sufficiently out of line that the steering wheel is off in position by about a third of a turn. The crew is back here trying to get some string ready in case he's going to come in, but the crew chief says he doesn't want to come in. Scott Maxim says they came here to win this thing and they're still going to try. The engine, well, he says it's still living, but not by much. Mike Joy.
Dick, first, Butch Leitzinger's car is okay. He's staying out on the racetrack as well after that altercation with Craven. Bob Labonte told me he hopes the race goes green all the way. He's not that concerned about fuel mileage. He is concerned about the horsepower Chad Little has. That Ford seems to have had more power than all the rest of the Busch cars all season long. And Terry called on the radio and says that they're worried if Chad gets past him, he has so much power, Terry won't be able to repass the number 23 Ford. So Labonte now wants to do everything he can to hold this lead.
Chevy and Ford running first and second. And boy, you've got the best seat in the house. You're riding right now with Terry Labonte as he goes through that inner loop, looks back at Chad Little.
Ken, we mentioned that Tracy Leslie had made a pit stop during the last caution. He's down on about 6 or 7 cylinders right now. The car is just running slowly as he came by. He's still on the lead lap, but he won't be for long because the car is just not running.
19th and falling back. Again, you're riding with Chad Little. Hey, what a ride. Tried Winston Cup, came back into Grand National, started the year last on the field in Daytona, won it, gave us a tremendous race at Charlotte, North Carolina, and it was misting pretty heavily. In fact, I thought it was plain raining. And Jeff Green gave him a fight right to the finish line. It was some kind of race. And he sandwiched in a couple of other victories. Chad Little, Mark Rippon's car, looking good with 24 laps to go in second spot, but not nearly as good as the two-time winner, Terry Labonte.
He is so smooth.
Let's watch him here for a minute. He's going down the back straightaway very fast and getting ready to go into the inner loop. This is a very difficult part of the track. Let's see how smooth it is.
Yeah, he didn't jam that thing in gear. He just neatly put it in.
See how interesting that was? I've learned a lot sitting right here.
You'll be tough when you come here in August for the
Look
Winston
at
Cup
that.
race.
I mean, it didn't even look like he, there he goes up in the third gear.
We may charge you to sit in that seat.
You know what I noticed? He pulled second gear all through that inner loop, all the way around that corner. I would go from second to third, but that's why he's a lot better than me here. Yeah, he stayed in second gear. He came down that long straightaway and ran second gear through the inner loop all the way around that corner to lap, third gear.
Of course, it has a great deal to do with the ratios that you have in the transmission.
Right, exactly.
Now, what would he have in there today? A 411 in the back?
Well, he probably has somewhere between a 400 or a 422 gear is what I would figure, but the ratios are so different. If you're running an overdrive, you're running like a 456 gear, something, or a 440. And we're talking gear ratios, in the rear of the car compared to the transmission ratios. Everybody shifts different. And that's something that Mark Martin and the Roush team have really got down here. Mark has been totally dominant, and Mark Martin does not aggressively get into turn one like Terry. He's just like Terry Labonte. They're both very good at turn one.
Well, one thing they've learned, that race car will run faster the straighter it goes than it will run sideways.
And that's the thing now with the radial tires. When we had the bias tires, we used to be able to get a lot of sidewall deflection in this. Did you see how there was no deflection in that sidewall as he came off that corner?
We'll give you more of the story at Watkins Glen in the 200 in a moment.
Linda's been my barber.
Stylist.
For years.
Months.
And a while back, she told me.
Stop squirming.
No. She said I should do something about my flakes. I said, get a new barber. She said, get new head and...
61 laps, 149 plus miles in this 200-mile event. Back under full caution around the 2.45 mile course. Boy, when you see tough snowshoes on a car, you know you're in the north, don't you, Ned?
Yes.
That's Bob Dragon from Milton, Vermont, who was in this altercation just at the entrance of Pit Road, which is torn up car number 11. That's known as car number 71 on the Grand National North Tour, and we can show you what happened here.
He comes up and his front end heads off the track, and then he tries to correct it and spins the wrong way. Spins on around, and look at this yellow car with that number 78 Rick By that goes down pit road, avoids hitting the end of the pit wall there. Great job of driving by him, and Dragon winds up right in the middle of the racetrack.
Now that Dragon car was running in the lead lap when this happened. Running in 19.
Well, let's see what Dennis Setzer driving the Elton Sawyer car. It happened right in front of him. There you see that he goes up there and spins, tries to correct, and then she spins all the way around. Of course, Dennis drives right on by. He's close enough to it that he could drive right on by.
Woo, that was close.
Yeah.
That's when you're saying, please let me get by. I'd like to say something. We're talking about Dennis Setzer driving a 38 car. I want to tell all the guys with the Alliance team that I'm thinking about them. Ricky Pearson, great race team, won a lot of races and had to shut their complete organization down. Ricky, all you guys back there, I'm thinking about you. Hopefully you get back racing.
I think everybody's hoping that someone will come along and rescue. I know they're going to Milwaukee next week, and they're up there in the top 10, and Dennis Setzer is just so good.
Right.
That's a hard hit, and that team looks like it's going to close the door forever after Milwaukee.
Here's the best offer of the year on America's best-selling car.
We're back with you at Watkins Glen, New York. It's the Watkins Glen 200 NASCAR Grand National. Big crowd out today. Very warm. A lot of thunder around here. Now that's the way to go to a race. You talk about a couch potato who wants to be at an event. You found one there. What's it say?
Farewell, Harry. Harry Gant.
Yep.
The fans are still out here for Harry Gant.
6 cautions for 13 laps. This is a new record distance of 200 miles. This is the most cautions we've ever seen, too, in this event. Sunshade out there this afternoon. Humidity up in the 90s. Here you see the lead changes.
Not many, but we've had close racing up
Close
front.
racing.
Not a lot of lead changes.
Looking each other over. But just behind them, McLaughlin, Grissom, Jeff Green, Craven, Benson, Spencer. There's Larry Pearson, Fuller. Those guys are putting on some kind of show. Not that those two leaders are not. They've been after each other all day. Sadler is 11th, Curtis Markham in 12th. Remember, Curtis started the day in the second row, gave an outstanding performance in qualifying. They qualified, what, 5 or 6 cars at a time. A time period of, what, 6 minutes? They had the opportunity to be in the track, and they went out there and
European
gave it their
style,
best. Yep.
that could improve on it. And Markham lost his car on the second lap coming off of turn 7 up here, as we're calling it today. And he said, boy, if I'd have made that lap, I'd have had a good one. He still had a good one as it was. Phil Parsons made a pit stop during this caution. He didn't think he had enough fuel, I guess, and so he came in and topped it off. Phil was running up there in the top 10, but he's dropped back now.
Leitzinger, too, is back in 17th in the start. There you see it, the cat back in 17th. Here's Dick Bergman.
There's some interesting high-tech tools in Bobby Dragon's pit, Ken. This is what they use to roll the fender away from the tire on the car as a baseball bat. And look at what they use to bring him in. A unique pitboard sign. You can just guess that they have a snowshoe manufacturer as a sponsor on that car.
They're still using those up in Vermont, you know, Dick, you know. But we should be all right with the 4th of July for a week or two.
Okay, we're ready to go green flag racing again. Terry Labonte takes off into turn 1.
Texas Terry, the Iceman.
There was Larry Pearson moving out back there to see him making two abreast, trying to make a pass. 19 laps to go. Here comes Fuller down on the inside of Spencer. How's that going to work out? Well, let's get single file out and get through those S's.
Up through the S's. Flat out, full bore, shifter up. Run down this long straightaway. Head for that inner loop.
Try to outbrake somebody going into that turn.
Terry Labonte looking back to second place, Chad Little. Mike Joy.
Ken Curtis Markham reports his feet are burning up. He's rapidly closing on Jeff Fuller in the Rookie of the Year battle, but he may need relief. Jim Bowen is standing by. And on the fuel story, Mike McLaughlin's crew chief Clyde McLeod said on the first stop his car took only 12 gallons after 23 laps of racing. So I don't think fuel is going to be an issue here.
Okay.
Magic Shoes McLaughlin still there in 3rd spot. Look, ooh, Jeff Green getting a handful there.
Oh, no. Your point leader.
And Jimmy Spencer.
Yep.
That final corner. Coming into the chute. No caution out just in that corner, and they're back underway.
If the race goes on, this could play out dramatically in the points battle because Chad Little's running in the 2nd spot, and now Johnny Benson has had some problems. He's back and going, and he's fine. There's about 18 laps to go, so he can still get up there.
That Johnny Rumley's car is putting out a lot of smoke, and they want him on pit road. Consultation flag out for Rumley.
Of course, the records will show that Martin Truex started that car.
They got a lot of oil coming out from the motor there. At least he's getting out of the groove going down the straightaway, but he still drug all that oil up through the S's. Hopefully everybody will get through the S's just fine.
There's Leitzinger, well back in this field. Pull himself back up through from 17th.
I'll tell you, so much happened in one lap there. It was phenomenal. I mean, we had Johnny Benson and everybody going around there, and now the oil leak and fighting for position right here.
Here's Leitzinger making his move through, and look at this battle. Craven on the outside. That's Jeff Green on the inside, side by side, all the way down that straightaway. Now they're headed up through the S's. Jeff Green pulls it off. Jeff Green into 5th. Craven back to 6th. Up in front, Terry Labonte 1st, Chad Little 2nd, McLaughlin 3rd. Grissom. There you see Craven, who just got sent back a notch by that sensation out of Owensboro, Kentucky, Jeff Green. He was the fighter in the Green Boys. And he certainly is putting on some kind of display here this afternoon.
They're familiar with race car. Yeah. Okay, let's see if we can find out what happened in that situation with Johnny Benson. Well, they've already been in the spin. He and Spencer spin together off over there on the outside of the track. Okay, we'll take a look from inside his car and see what he was seeing. Okay, just motored along there pretty good right there, and he got hit from behind. I believe he got hit from behind and sent him around.
That put him back to 17th position. Leitzinger on the charge. Up to 10th. Riding with Johnny Benson.
Got a car off of turn 1. Larry Pearson. Larry Pearson, who was running up in the 7th position. Tough break for him. 2 race winners so far this year.
Both in South Carolina.
Darlington and Myrtle Beach.
I think anxiety is starting to set in, guys. They know it's coming down to the end. Everybody's trying to grab a little bit deeper and go a little bit quicker. We're seeing a lot of the spin-outs right here, Bryce, with some really good race cars.
So the final laps are upcoming here this afternoon.
This is a commercial for cheese. Time for a snack. There's some cheese in the fridge.
Terry Labonte, seeking his 3rd win at Watkins Glen, has the advantage of 8 car lengths over Chad Little. Chevy Ford battle for the lead here as time runs out on this one.
Mike McLaughlin continues to run 3rd. We mentioned that Larry Pearson, we saw him spin off course. Let's see what happened as he went into turn 1. There's Jeff Fuller right behind him going into the turn, and Pearson gets a tap from behind, and around he goes out into the grassed area. Didn't do any damage to the car, but lost a lot of track position and a lot of positions, really. He's back about 17th now, and he was up there in the, 6th position, I believe.
The man in the move is Leitzinger. He's running about 13.5 seconds down to the leader, Terry Labonte.
Yes, it's
Terry Labonte.
Yeah, a little bit now. Labonte has picked up a little bit.
He's turning it up a little here. He's drawing away.
Another car that has made a good run. Ken, we mentioned that Curtis Markham had made a pit stop on one of the cautions to top off with fuel, and he has fought his way all the way back up to 7th position. So Curtis Markham making a good run here.
So there's your leader, Terry Labonte, and there you see Chad Little chasing him down. And Curtis Markham would qualified 4th for today's event. Here is McLaughlin.
That's the 3rd place car.
Outstanding performance for him.
Here's the 4th place car, Jeff Green.
There's 5th, Craven. Coming, and 53, Clark is out again.
And the 6th place car would be Craven with Miss Grissom in there. And